Morning.
David Ryman and Emily Durko are with us this morning to continue our threading our way kind of tapestry. And they've both been with the congregation for a long time. Durko came from New Jersey and moved back there a few years ago. So we'll hear more about that when we hear her piece. Um, Otherwise, David, it's all yours.
I was hoping to go second. That way either be a hero or a chump.
No, you'd just be a hard act to follow. That'd even better.
Yeah. Being the completely literal and not very creative person that I am, I'm going to go through the questions. That way I won't forget anything. And at the same time, I won't talk about something that's sort of irrelevant. But how did I get involved with Nativity? My family at the time moved to Burnsville in 1998 to take a job with what I used to call the Red Bullseye, but that was so long ago that it was actually, my employer was actually the Dayton Hudson Corporation. And I used to say the Red Bullseye, but now I have to say the White Bullseye. What prompted your coming to Nativity? I'm a cradle Episcopalian. Didn't really even know there were different churches till I was probably 6, 7, 8 years old. My grandfather, little trivia, my grandfather was an Episcopal priest, and he actually went to seminary in Faribault.
Oh my goodness.
Farm boy from northern North Carolina, a farm that straddled the North Carolina-Virginia line. And he came to Faribault in 1919, 20, 21, 22, somewhere in there, and thought he'd moved to Siberia, coldest he'd ever been in his whole life. But he made it through. And just real briefly, a little perspective. He and his wife, well, not the wife necessarily, my grandmother, they were Episcopal missionaries in Hawaii back in the late 20s, early 30s. My mother was born in Hawaii. My uncle was born in Hawaii. They lived on the island of what my mother calls Kauai. I don't think Nancy Wood is on, but she has told me that the locals now call that Kauai. My mother thinks that's just a Chamber of Commerce thing to have Kauai rhyme with Hawaii. But anyway, saber rattling from the Japanese caused them to come back to North Carolina in the late 30s, early 40s. So as I said, cradle Episcopalian. I'm a little unique in that my grandfather baptized me. Not a whole lot of people probably can say that. So it was just, you move to a new city. Where's the grocery store? Where's the dry cleaners? Where's the library? Where's the post office? Where's the Episcopal Church? So it wasn't really that I went church shopping. I knew the brand I wanted, and I went and I found the brand. Tell us about when you first came to Nativity and what is important for us to know about your Nativity story at that time. Not a whole lot. Those of you on the call that remember Gail and Harold Meyer, they were ushers that day, and they were transplanted Southerners like we were. And those of you that remember my first wife, Jan, although she pronounces her name Jayne, Jan. It was like Harold Meyer was my favorite Martian. His antennas went right up when he heard her thick Southern accent. And we were just sort of ushered right in. A little piece of trivia, I'm not sure I'm right, but my memory is that our first Sunday was Ann Miner Pearson's first Sunday. So that's how far we go back. What has brought you new life or changed life for you at Nativity? I guess this is the time. Sharing a little bit of dirty family laundry. I'm twice divorced and thrice married. Divorce number one was from the mother of my children. And Um, that was during Ann Minor Pearson's time. Divorce number 2 was during Dennis O'Prea's time. I spent a significant amount of time, I don't want to say being consoled, that's probably not the correct term, but at any rate, a lot of time talking with them and in their spiritual care, if you will. Not a single time in any of that was I ever judged. Was I ever, I was challenged to be introspective and find out, as Ann Minor Pearson said, well, you're 100% responsible for your 50%. That kind of put me back on my heels a little bit, but it wasn't judgmental. It was just, if you will, sort of feet to the fire and being accountable for what happened in that relationship. Like I said, Dennis O'Prea for number 2. Never did he judge me. Never did he fault me in any way. And one of the reasons I'm telling you this is I heard from my second wife, who had been through a divorce, my now third wife, who had been through a divorce. Both of them went to their pastor, clergy. One was Catholic, one was Lutheran. I don't remember which flavor of Lutheran, but at any rate, in both instances, when they needed their church, pastor, clergy to support them, they weren't there. They heard things like, well, maybe if you dressed up a little more and were prettier when he came home. Maybe if you always had dinner ready. Maybe if you had the children dressed up nicer and more well-behaved and had already maybe had dinner for them when he got home. It was all about being, if you could be more feminine and more subservient, you could fix your marriage. And that was just absolutely dumbfounding and insulting and disheartening, and I'm not sure what other words, to both of them. Different stories, different denominations, different times, but the difference for me, having heard those stories and experienced my own at Nativity, I was never judged and I was never told to, grunt more and be more of a man. But yet the wives in previous relationships were told to be more womanly. And that was the problem in the marriage, where they weren't womanly enough. And I mean, both those stories just dropped my jaw. And you could say, well, that was a long time ago. 10, 15 years max. So let's not kid ourselves that still doesn't exist. So I'll get off this subject. Very grateful for Nativity, and that when I needed my church the most, my church was there. And I'm also very aware of the fact that that is not common. It doesn't happen for a lot of people. And I would guess, I don't know this, but I would guess for women, it's harder for them to find support during that horrible crisis. Any of you on the call that have ever been through a divorce, it is the most, puts your heart and soul and emotions through a meat grinder. And it's a long road through the valley of the shadow of death back. But yippee skippy, I'm married to the love of my life, and third time's a charm. So anyway, why have you stayed at Nativity? Initially, it was for my children, because I very much wanted them to be confirmed in the Episcopal Church. Both were. My daughter Jessie is very much a churched person, but she has not stayed with the Episcopal Church. She likes the more, I don't even know how to describe it, but more grassroots, non-denominational, kick butt praise team music, and that feeds her, and that's fine with me. I'm not sure about my son. They go to Hosanna sometimes. I attended a christening of my granddaughter there back in September, so I would guess that that's sort of their home church, but I think that's more based on the preference of my daughter-in-law than my son. It keeps me grounded, centered. I don't know how long ago, 5-10 years ago, it dawned on me that one of the things about the Episcopal Church that's important to me is a ritual. And having grown up in the Episcopal Church, I still remember if we sing, there's 2 hymns that I remember that were sung at my grandfather's funeral. And I can't think of them right now. The Church's One Foundation is one. At any rate, if I were in church today and that hymn was sung, even though that funeral was 45 plus years ago, I'd have a difficult time getting through the first verse. I'm a relocated Southerner, as I like to say, Southern by birth, Tar Heel by the grace of God. Most of my family is still back in North Carolina. And so even though my parents are in an assisted living facility, they aren't in a live church service. Nobody is in the Episcopal Church in North Carolina right now. But at any rate, the hymns, the prayers, the ritual instantly connects me to my family, even though I'm 1,500 miles away. And the ritual part, as I've told my wife a couple of times, she didn't want to go to midnight mass because it's just too late and I'm sleepy, blah, 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 blah. Until I sing Hark the Herald Angels Sing, it ain't Christmas. Until I sing Hail Thee Festival Day or Jesus Christ is Risen Today, it ain't Easter. So I've sort of, it dawned on me, one of the things that's most important to me is the ritual. And some people say, oh, that's so boring. You say the same stuff week after week. Yeah, I'm saying the same Nicene Creed I said when I was 12 years old. That helps me. Describe ministry as important to you. I've been, and I say been because we're not in the church anymore, but chalice bearer and lector. I enjoy both of those. And now that I can walk again, and hopefully when we get back to service and nativity, I can resume those ministries. Where am I now? What have you found to be special about the nativity community? The nativity community walks the talk of everyone is welcome here. I have the personal experience. I'm not sure I mentioned this earlier, talking about divorces. I'm not aware of anybody that shunned me or thought, oh, geez, man, second divorce, can't you get along with anybody? That's never been part of the nativity community. I've still been welcomed. I don't think I've been judged. If I have, I'm unaware of it. So everyone is welcome at nativity. And that's not just words, that's behavior. And I put a whole lot more credence in a community's behavior than a community's words. What message might you want to share with those considering joining nativity? What I've already said. But then again, I'm biased because I'm a cradle Episcopalian and I look for the brand and I stay with the brand. But welcoming and non-judgmental, and rather than telling you what to think, you're asked what you think. Same thing about talents and financial resources. And what do you want people to know about your relation and experience with Nativity that we haven't already asked? Well, nobody's asked me, but I would just say, see the above, what I've already said. So that's about all I have. Happy to entertain any questions, etc. So thanks for allowing me the opportunity.
Thank you, David. Yeah, and I'm so glad you found a lovely new woman to be in your life.
Thank you. I wanted to put a banner at our reception that said, "Third time's a charm," or 3 outs and the inning's over. And she didn't see the humor in that, so I didn't do it. But yes,
Smart woman.
I did not settle this time. I got what I wanted.
Good for you, David. So glad to hear that. And you haven't told us a whole lot about your kids' activities at Nativity. And another feature for yourself is that you've been active on the finance committee, I believe.
Yes, true. Blame me. I'm the chairman of the finance committee. And all that basically means is I herd the cats during the meetings. I don't have a whole lot of financial background, but my kids' activities, both were active in youth group at the time. I'm trying to think back. Ben was in youth group even before Anna Austin Moore's time. Both of them beginning about, Ben was 12, 13, Jesse was 8, 9. Their mother started going to Prince of Peace, and they had more bright, shiny objects, fun at youth group. Ben got to go play paintball one night, but both were confirmed. And as is typical, once Ben was confirmed, he didn't come to Nativity much anymore. Jessie, on the other hand, she found that she didn't like the 300 kids that were in youth activities every Wednesday night at Prince of Peace. And she found the smaller, more intimate group more to her liking. And that was about the time that Anna came on board, and they had a very close connection. My daughter Jessie was horribly bullied in the 7th grade, and she kept it a lot to herself. And Anna was very instrumental during that time in sort of drawing her out and also supporting her through that. And for that, I will be eternally grateful. Both were acolytes. I think for those of you that go back that far, my daughter Jessie was notable for, she was so nervous the first time she was an acolyte that she actually threw up kneeling up on the altar. And those of you that remember, I think it was between Ann Miner Pearson and Dennis O'Prey, John Retker, she dropped a piece of glass, I don't remember which, with wine, water, pallet, whatever, and the loudest crashing sound on the altar as well. So she's famous for 2 reasons as an acolyte.
But she just survived all that. Wow.
She did.
And she also helped with a nursery.
Thank you. I totally, yes, she did.
Oh, thanks so much, David. That was a
You're
great
quite welcome.
video. Kelly? I can't hear you.
You're on mute.
Gretchen, I just see that Emily is on her phone. She's not on video. So what I'll do is, if we're done with David, if anybody has any questions, please go ahead. But when it's time for Emily, I'll share my screen, and then I will unshare and then Emily can talk further and you guys can interact with her, but she doesn't have the camera today.
Oh, okay.
Are there any more questions that people would like to ask David or make comments on some of the similar things? I know that Emily and David have some connections maybe.
Hi, Emily. Good to quote unquote see you again.
Yes, good morning, everybody.
Hi, Emily.
I'm having technical difficulties and I'm so frustrated. I wish I could see you all, but at least I'm talking to you guys.
Yeah, well, and there'll be
I'm going to keep poking buttons on the computer to see if I can somehow figure it out as we talk.
well,
Find
and
a teenager.
we are recording it, so you'll be able to watch it later. But are there any more questions for David or comments? Okay, well, thank you, David.
Quite
Gretchen,
well.
Thank you.
if it's okay with you, I will share my screen. Emily, I
Please
will
do.
share your video, and then
Okay.
we'll pop over to the live version. Okay, so just bear
Sounds
with me,
great.
y'all. Thank you so much, David. It was really wonderful story. Really.
Really.
My
Mhm.
mom was divorced.
I'm glad you
several
think
times.
so.
Well, my mom was divorced several times, and so I've heard those things too. So thank you so much for sharing that. All right, here we go with the share the screen. And
Good morning. My name is Emily Dirko. I come to you from Warrenton, Virginia. My husband, Tom, our sons, David and Mark, started our nativity journey 20 years ago. We had 12 wonderful years in Minnesota. Our nativity story begins in a hotel room. Tom and I were out in Minnesota 4th of July weekend of 2000, and we had just bought our home in Savage. We knew that finding a church home would be one of the biggest parts of our big move from New Jersey. So I'm sitting on the floor in the hotel room, looking in the yellow pages for the nearest Episcopal church near Savage, and Nativity was it. So when we finally moved out to Minnesota, our first church service was September of 2000. And then the next weekend we went back, and this sweet woman named Gretchen came up to us, welcomed us back by first name, and we were floored. We could not believe she remembered us and she knew our names. What a gift she gave us. To become part of this nativity family, it keeps such a close place in my heart. About a year later, I decided I wanted to do something at Nativity. I wanted to become a part of a ministry. And I thought about it and I thought, a godly play leader. I would be the perfect one. I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. It would be perfect for me. So I met up with Kathleen, and she had a different idea for me. She thought I would be a great Right 13 leader. I thought, what? Teenagers? What do I know about teenagers? What could they possibly teach me about my faith? And what could I possibly teach them about their faith? But it was also one of the best gifts I ever received. So Kathleen, thank you. For the next 11 years, I spent time as a co-leader in the Right 13 and the J2A program. I loved learning each week the lessons and preparing for them, and then to be able to take that, what I learned, and take it back to the classroom and teach the kids. I was so excited for. But the best part of it was when we got started into the lesson, listening to what the youth were telling us changed the whole program, changed my whole plan, but it made it so much better. It was delightful. And I remember this one time, this young lady was in class and we were talking about images of God. She says she sees God as a woman. I thought, what? A woman? I never thought of it that way. But why not? God is loving, nurturing, protective. Those are all typical characteristics for a woman or a mother. I just opened my eyes to seeing my faith and what I always believed for all those years a little bit differently. And I thank her for that. I also had the opportunity to be a mentor for confirmation for 2 lovely young women. Spending time with them, learning their life, being a small part of their faith journey was such an honor and privilege for me. And to this day, I think of those 2 girls as my daughters, the daughters I never had. I keep in touch with them, and I just adore both of them. What a gift that was for me to have that relationship continue after all these years. I am thankful that I had the opportunity to be a part of all those youths' lives in such a little way. And I hope they know what an impact they gave on my life and my faith and how I perceive life. I can't even describe how important it is to me. Then in the summer of 2012, Tom's job took us to Virginia, and our life changed again. And again, I realized how important our faith and our faith life is, and finding an Episcopal church in Virginia was one of the most important things I had to do for my family. So what did I do? Nope, I did not get it on the Yellow Pages. I opened up the computer and went on the internet. And I looked for the nearest church to Warrenton, and I found St. Stephen's. Our family went to St. Stephen's, and it was almost a repeat of what we went through at Nativity, where the next weekend a gentleman named Tom had come up to us and greeted us by first name. And again, we felt welcomed into St. Stephen's. My confirmation history follows me, and I am now the confirmation coordinator for St. Stephen's. And my journey continues with the youth. And I am so thankful to Nativity for supporting me, for loving me, for accepting me, and for trusting me with their kids. It's a blessing for me. I thank you all today for joining me. I hope I gave you something back this morning. And it's my honor, and I thank you for being a part of today's morning's adult forum. I love you all.
Okay, Gretchen and Emily, you're on.
Thank you.
My sweet Gretchen. Oh,
Oh, that's
I
a
love
wonderful
hearing your
story.
voice, honey.
Oh my goodness. And I remember your mother-in-law, Tom's mother, when she came to Nativity.
Uh-huh.
That was the gift. And I don't think you mentioned, and maybe you don't care to have it mentioned, but I'm going to anyway. I think you came to us from the Roman Catholic faith, and perhaps your experience with Rite 13 and J2A was a learning experience for you as well.
Absolutely. And you are
So-
correct. I was raised in the Catholic Church, and I was received into the Episcopal Church during my days with Nativity. And my mother-in-law and father-in-law were with us that day, and it was a glorious day. Yeah.
Wonderful story. Tell us about your boys now.
Oh my goodness. Mark, our youngest, is now 22, and he's a senior at George Mason University studying biology. In a couple days, he'll be coming home, and he'll be permanently home because of COVID. And next semester, he only has 4 credits to graduate. So he's doing great. I don't have a picture of him, but you can just imagine his hair is now down below his shoulders. So that's Mark. And then David, he just finished and is a licensed physical therapy assistant. And he just got his full-time with paid benefits job. He's currently living at home, and commutes about 50 minutes southeast of here. But Tom and I are thinking he's probably not going to be here too much longer, but we'll see. Yeah, but the boys are doing great. Tom's doing well. He's working full-time from home. He's still with Lockheed Martin. They're the company he was with in Minnesota. Yeah, so we're expecting him to stay with them till his retirement in maybe 5-6 years, something like that. I'm doing kitchen and bath design. I've been doing that almost the whole time I've been in Virginia, and I'm loving it. So I'm still doing my designing, but just a little bit different. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So there's the Durko update.
Anybody else have questions or comments? Sure.
I don't know if you know or not, but Emily's the person that chose all the new colors for the church paint colors way back when. So she's to be thanked for her input on her interior designing for the building.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, there was a file somewhere in the office with all the paint chips in it.
Yep, it's still there, I think, hopefully.
Hi, Emily.
Phyllis, go ahead.
Yeah, Emily, I was just going to tell everybody that your talent for hospitality has always been welcomed. And we came down, Dave had a class in DC one time, and you and Tom were so gracious to meet us and have a supper with us that we really remember that visit, or I remember it fondly. I didn't have to go.
Oh
to
my
class.
gosh, yes.
So if you're ever in the area, do give them a call. They're gracious hosts.
Yep, we did the same thing when we went out to DC. We spent some time with them and went to their new house, and actually they're responsible for getting us our new Airstream Bambi trailer.
Oh,
They were the people.
Yes, we shopped.
Yes, they shopped for us. We went totally on their word. Doug drove out there and picked it up, and now you know we enjoy it thoroughly and go
good.
with it a lot. We love it. So, well, thanks.
I wish I was seeing you guys. I'm so frustrated with technology right now. I'm just in tears. I'm so excited to hear your voices.
You know, we're on every Sunday morning, Emily. You can come on anytime.
oh my God, we'd love to see you.
Aw, I will consider that. It just overlaps with St. Stephen's, but yeah. But I can alternate once in a while, maybe.
Yeah, that would be fun to see you.
Aww.
And I think I heard something about a ski connection between your boys and Jesse Dryman, maybe? I don't know.
What kind of connection?
Ski. Emily, this is David Dryman. I remember, was it Friday nights at Buck Hill?
Oh, skiing. I'm sorry. Yes, I couldn't understand. Yes, we did the ski challenge, which is a ski league. Yes, absolutely. The boys miss it a lot. Ski challenge is thriving in spite of COVID. Yeah, they're making it work. So yes, lots of time at Buck Hill too. That was a big part of our life.
Is Tom still involved in Boy Scouts by any chance?
No. When we moved here, David received his Eagle Scout when he was in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And then when we moved here, Mark tried a couple troops, and it just didn't fit, and it just wasn't his troop from Prior Lake, and he fell out of scouting. But you know, it's the life journey he was on, so it is what it is. And no, Tom is not involved with the Scouts at all. So.
Hey, Emily.
Any other-
Emily.
Yes, who's this?
Hi, it's Karen and Chris Schul here.
Hi.
Hi. Just wanted to thank you again, and I just wanted to say that both of our kids, Jessica and Matthew, tremendously benefited from you. You had them.
Aw.
I can't remember now. It's been such a long time, but I think both Roy 13 and Jada A.
Yes, you know, it kind of, the two, like when I was with certain youth, I can't remember whether it was 13 or J2A with them, but yes, of course. Jessica and I kept in touch too for a little bit on and off after leaving Nativity.
Yeah, she's a hard one for anybody to stay in touch with, quite honestly. And I think it was with her group. I think she had you because you did Right 13 and then you moved up to Jada A. So she had the benefit of moving with you. And you were absolutely instrumental in keeping both of our kids at Nativity and focused. And
oh, Karen, that's very kind. Thank you. Well, I'm glad I could help.
Absolutely, you did. And we know exactly where you are because I grew up in McLean and Chris grew up in Falls Church. So you are
right.
You are close to our homes. So
yes,
anyway,
you are.
It was great to see you on video, and we miss you.
Oh, well, that goes both ways, my friend. Yes.
Take care.
I do think of Nativity as my home church. After all these years, you guys have something amazing. Hold on to it, treasure it, because it's not, you don't find Nativity everywhere. That is for sure.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody there is agreeing with me because it is. Deep down in my heart and my soul, Nativity is my home. No question in my mind. And I'm getting all weepy about it, ladies and gentlemen.
Emily?
Oh my gosh.
Emily?
Yes, ma'am.
This is Ann Malone. How are you?
Ann Malone, how are you, my darling?
I love hearing your laugh again. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
But I just had to tell you, I'm sure you're not surprised that I'm still doing contributions. But
yeah, no surprise there.
But you were instrumental in getting us into Vanco, weren't you?
I was on the vestry at that time. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But so Emily's the one who got us into Vanco, and we have almost 50% of the church who use Vanco. So
that's fabulous.
I thank you for getting us started on that. And it was so much fun to hear about the boys and Tom and you. So I just wanted.
No, the contributions, it is helpful. And I can't speak for Nativity, but I would think, at least, you have that consistent income that's guaranteed on time every month. And with this stupid COVID, it keeps the income coming into the building, So 50%, that's amazing. That's terrific.
But I do have to say that Nativity, they're very giving. People have kept up their pledges, even those who, well, they have no choice if they're on Vanco. But we've done very well
right.
during COVID.
Yeah.
Nice to see you and talk to you.
Oh, nice to hear hear from you too, Anne.
And you could give a little commercial about Banco for those people who are not on it yet.
Well,
Gretchen,
yeah,
Gretchen, that is so Gretchen. You just pulled such a Gretchen by saying, you could do that.
By the way, if you're
By
inclined.
the way, you're really good at this.
it's
Oh, I
very
love you.
easy.
I love you, Gretchen. Oh my gosh.
That is so funny.
Oh,
But
thank you.
it's so true, right? Who wouldn't agree with me on that one?
I think we
Oh,
might
my
be at
goodness.
72 or 75% of our pledges coming into at this point as well. So that's a timely reminder of how easy it is.
Yeah.
Ac-
Yeah.
Right,
Actually,
and we've
we're-
extended the deadline, haven't we?
Yes. And actually, we're up to almost 80%. It's wonderful. And